When researchers finally located Shackleton's lost ship after 107 years, they expected to find a wreck. What they found instead looked disturbingly familiar. Railings still stood where sailors had once walked. Deck structures remained recognizable. Equipment appeared untouched by time. And deep beneath nearly 10,000 feet of Antarctic water, one detail immediately stopped the expedition team in their tracks. The ship did not look dead. It looked abandoned, as if the crew had stepped away only moments before. For more than a century, Endurance had been one of the most famous missing ships in history. Everyone knew the story of its disappearance. Nobody knew where it had gone. And when explorers finally found it in 2022, they uncovered something that felt less like a shipwreck and more like a frozen snapshot from another century. But the strangest discovery wasn't the condition of the vessel. It was the eerie feeling created by everything that remained behind. Because the deeper researchers looked, the more it seemed as though time had somehow forgotten this ship. And what they found inside would transform one of history's greatest survival stories forever. The search began in one of the most hostile environments on Earth. Antarctica is not simply cold, it is unpredictable. Massive icebergs drift without warning. Sea ice can trap ships for weeks. Powerful storms can appear suddenly and shut down entire operations. Even with modern technology, finding a wooden ship that disappeared more than a century ago seemed almost impossible. For days, autonomous underwater vehicles scanned enormous sections of the seafloor. Hour after hour, the monitors revealed nothing. Only darkness, mud, and endless emptiness. Then something appeared, a shape. At first, the operators thought it might be a geological formation, but as additional images arrived, excitement began spreading through the control room. The object looked too structured, too organized, and too perfect. The sonar outline revealed a bow, then a hull, then unmistakable features matching the dimensions of Endurance. After 107 years, the missing ship had finally been found. Yet what shocked the team was not the discovery itself, it was the condition of what they had discovered. Because the wreck seemed to challenge everything archaeologists expected to see after more than a century underwater. And the closer the cameras moved, the stranger the discovery became. Most shipwrecks become unrecognizable over time. Wood rots, metal corrodes, structures collapse beneath decades of ocean pressure. Marine organisms slowly consume what remains. After 100 years underwater, archaeologists usually expect little more than fragments. Endurance was different, remarkably different. The freezing Antarctic waters had created conditions found almost nowhere else on Earth. The organisms that normally destroy wooden wrecks were largely absent. As a result, Endurance had been preserved in extraordinary condition. The bow still stood proudly. The hull remained largely intact. Railings were visible. Sections of the deck could still be identified. Even experienced researchers struggled to believe what they were seeing. It looked less like a shipwreck and more like a vessel resting quietly at anchor. Then, the cameras reached the stern. And suddenly, the expedition team witnessed the image that would become famous around the world. There, clearly visible after more than a century beneath the sea, was the ship's name, Endurance. The letters remained astonishingly sharp. It was as though the vessel had been waiting for someone to find it, waiting to identify itself, waiting to remind the world that it had never truly disappeared. But the most unsettling discoveries were still ahead. Because what researchers found inside the wreck created an atmosphere few expected. As the survey continued, historians began studying every available image. The details were extraordinary. Objects remained where they had been left. Storage areas still contained equipment, sections of cabins retained recognizable features. Small details survived that nobody expected to see again. And that was exactly what made the discovery so unsettling. The wreck did not tell a story of destruction. It told a story of interruption. Everything suggested normal life. Everything suggested routine. Everything suggested people. Yet nobody had been there since 1915. Imagine entering a building abandoned for more than a century and finding traces of daily life still visible. That was the feeling many researchers described. One historian compared the wreck to a photograph frozen in time. Another described it as a doorway into the final days of the expedition. The most chilling aspect wasn't any single object. It was the overwhelming absence of the men who once surrounded those objects. The ship still contained evidence of their presence, but the people themselves had vanished long ago. And the more researchers studied the wreck, the more one question emerged. How had this vessel survived in such extraordinary condition? The answer begins with one of the most ambitious expeditions ever attempted. In 1914, explorer Sir Ernest Shackleton launched a mission many considered impossible. His objective was to achieve something no human had ever done before: cross the Antarctic continent from one side to the other. The challenge was enormous. Antarctica remained one of the least understood places on Earth. Temperatures could become deadly. Weather conditions changed without warning, and rescue was often impossible. To accomplish his goal, Shackleton assembled a carefully selected crew of 27 men. He also acquired a specially built ship designed for polar exploration. The vessel was named Endurance. Its name came from the Shackleton family motto, "By endurance, we conquer." The ship represented the best available technology for surviving Antarctic conditions. Its thick wooden hull had been reinforced to resist crushing ice. It appeared ready for anything. But Antarctica had other plans. In January 1915, Endurance entered the Weddell Sea. Not long afterward, the expedition encountered increasing amounts of pack ice. At first, the crew remained confident. They had prepared for difficult conditions. The ship had been built for exactly this purpose, but the ice continued growing thicker. Eventually, the vessel became trapped. Then, weeks passed. The ice did not release its grip. Instead, it tightened, slowly, relentlessly. And what began as a delay soon became a disaster. As months passed, Endurance drifted helplessly with the frozen sea. The crew watched the pressure increase around them. Every movement of the ice generated enormous force. The sounds became terrifying. Wood creaked throughout the ship. Massive cracks echoed through the structure. Men lying in their bunks could hear the vessel fighting for survival. The reinforced hull held longer than many expected. But eventually, even Endurance reached its limit. The ice was simply too powerful. In October 1915, the hull began to fail. Water entered the ship. Pumps worked continuously. The crew desperately tried to save their floating home, but the battle was already lost. On November 21st, Shackleton gave the order: abandon ship. The men gathered supplies and stepped onto the ice. Then they watched their world disappear. Slowly, the vessel slipped beneath the frozen ocean. Many believed it would never be seen again. And for more than a century, it wasn't. The ship vanished. The ice drifted. The ocean concealed every trace. Yet despite losing their vessel, the crew still faced an even greater challenge: survival. And what happened next remains one of the greatest feats of leadership and endurance in history. After abandoning Endurance, the expedition entered a nightmare. The men lived on drifting ice for months. Food supplies became increasingly limited. Storms battered their camps. The freezing Antarctic environment surrounded them on all sides. At any moment, the ice beneath their feet could crack apart. Yet, Shackleton refused to surrender. He understood that survival depended on maintaining hope. Eventually, the crew launched small lifeboats and attempted to reach safety. The conditions were brutal. Towering waves crashed over the boats. Freezing water soaked the exhausted men. Every mile felt impossible. Then, Shackleton made the decision that would secure his place in history. Accompanied by a small team, he embarked on an 800-mile voyage across some of the most dangerous waters on Earth. The journey pushed human endurance to its absolute limit. Against all odds, the mission succeeded. Rescue finally arrived. And remarkably, every member of the expedition survived. Not one man was lost. It remains one of the most extraordinary survival stories ever recorded. More than a century later, the discovery of Endurance added a remarkable final chapter to that story. Because the ship that had vanished into Antarctic darkness had never truly disappeared. It had simply been waiting. More than 100 years after it sank beneath the ice, Endurance still rests on the floor of the Southern Ocean. Its crew is gone. Its mission was never completed. But the evidence of their final days remains exactly where history left it, silent, preserved, waiting in the darkness,